Hi guys, in today's class we're going to learn how to make potato swallow. Now one of the things you should look out for in this recipe is some of the tips and tricks that I'm going to be sharing here. Now of course, let's do our regular introduction. We have our Irish potatoes and we have our unripe plantain. Yes, this looks like it is fully ripe, but guys, the color is deceiving. It's actually unripe plantain, it's not fully ripe yet. So let's get right to it. We have our Irish potato. Of course you want to wash it, and then of course we have our unripe plantain. Now why are we using unripe plantain? Potato by itself does not have enough starch to form swallow, and you can try it out, but I would not advise you to. You can try it out as just an experiment. Potato by itself cannot form swallow because it doesn't have enough starch to form a swallow. So usually it needs a thickener, right? And unripe plantain has enough starch. That's why by itself it can form swallow. That's why you can see me add 1 stick of plantain. However, you can decide to use 2 sticks of unripe plantain, equally works, right? Now you can use the unripe plantain that is still green, that has a lot more starch than the one I'm using now, so you can decide to use whichever one works for you. Now you can see how I peeled that Irish potato, and then we're going to wash that, and I'm going to get out that plantain. Again, I want to show you guys that it is actually still unripe. It is not fully ripe yet, so I'm going to just cut off the stems, and then I'm going to open that up. And you're going to see that it was pretty difficult opening it up, and you can see it's sticking to the side and breaking off. You wouldn't have this happen with regular ripe plantain. So this is actually unripe plantain. I hope I've convinced you enough. This is unripe plantain. I will advise, however, that for this portion, right, for this number of Irish potato, which is about 8 Irish potatoes, you want to use 2 unripe plantain, preferably the one that is still green, because you may not be able to tell the difference if it's still looking like it's ripe, right? So you want to stick to the green unripe plantain. Use 2 of it. That would have enough starch to help your potatoes form into a swallow. I'm cutting my potatoes into smaller bits just to help my blender. You can decide to also cut yours into way smaller bits, right, if your blender is not so powerful. Another thing I want you to note, guys, is that while we are washing all of this, Irish potato has a higher water content in it, so you don't want to use as much water when you're blending. I'm going to use only 1 cup of water. Again, this requires a very good blender. If you don't use a very good blender, it might end up overheating your blender, because if you're going to use very little water to blend potato and plantain, guys, it's going to work that engine, and if that engine is not so strong, it's going to have overheating and may ultimately spoil your blender. So use a very good blender. Right now you can see that I used only 1 cup of water, and then we're going to proceed to blend very little. You have to use very little water. The mistakes some people make when you're trying to make potato swallow is you put in too much water, and when you put in too much water, it takes longer time to thicken, and when it takes longer time to thicken, you have it burning, and it's not just working well. So guys, you do not want to put so much water in your swallow. In fact, it is best you put less water, even less than 1 cup, and then when you start cooking, it gets to a point as it thickens, you can now add a little bit more water and allow that to cook fully. So please do not put too much water, and then you want to touch it with your fingers and rub it together like this. If you can see that it is truly smooth and that there are no seeds or lumps, then you are good to go. If you had any lumps or seeds, please continue blending until it's very smooth. Now I have my pots on heat. You can already imagine how hot that pot is because you can see that water bouncing off. It looks so cool, right? Okay, we're going to pour in that blended potato and plantain, well, more potato, so you want to blend everything together. Pour that into your pot, and you're going to stir and stir and stir. Guys, this takes a long time, and you may want to get tired, but it is always worth the process. Once again, cooking is a labor of love. You see that lump there? Don't worry, we are still going somewhere. Don't worry at all. Once again, as long as you are sure that you blended it smooth, no lumps are going to come out of this. It's going to come out really, really good. Now this took roughly about 15 minutes, right? You want to use medium heat, and then you're going to keep stirring it together. Now the nice thing about Irish potato is that it is usually very light. Now unlike our plantain swallow, that once you start stirring it, it thickens up and it's already really strong. For your Irish potato, because of its nature, it's not going to thicken like your eba. But if you allow it to cool down, right, after you've gotten the texture that you need, like you can see here, if you allow it to cool down for about 10 minutes, then it's going to thicken up, and you'll be surprised as to how strong it's going to be. So don't get worried that, oh my God, it's still looking a little bit loose. It's still fine, right? You just want to cook it for at least 20 to 25 minutes on low heat. Now, you don't have to turn it all the way through. Once you stir it and it's already beginning to look good, you can just cover it up on low heat and allow that to cook. Taste it to see how it tastes, and it should taste really good. It should taste really good. Now once you have that, cover it up, allow that to cook on low heat, and once you have this texture, guys, you're good to go. See, like I said, it doesn't have to be strong like eba for you to know that it's good. Once you are able to get this particular texture from, like, mold it like this into a ball, you're good to go. It looks a little bit loose, but it is very good. Allow that to cool down, and guys, it is going to solidify and be so good. And that's it, guys. That's how to make your potato swallow. See you in my next video.